Hi, AT from CNC at Home. It's that time of year again, actually that time of every 4 years. We have the Summer Olympics going on right now. That's something that I've been interested in almost my entire life. It's something that I've tried to indoctrinate my children into watching with me. My son and I had fun with that years ago when he was much younger, and he would imitate or emulate some of the different sports, and we would have a ton of fun with that. I'd like to do a project today that is Olympics related. What I want to do is create something that we can burn out on the laser that is the Olympic rings. I've grabbed a couple images. Let me bring one into LightBurn and we can take a look at that. This is what the image looks like that I'm going to use to help me emulate or build our LightBurn project. When I take this into LightBurn, it will be black and white. We will lose our color, not a big deal. Let's see what it looks like in LightBurn. As we can see, in LightBurn, it's a little bit bigger than my working area. Let's shrink this up so that we can work with it. Let's make it half the size. How's that? That should be plenty big to use as a reference. I want to build this. I suppose I could try doing a trace image on this, see how that works. So if we go back into trace image, yeah, it's not getting this gray ring here, so we can just lower our threshold. And it should pick that up. No, raise the threshold. That's what we want, because we want to pick that up. There we go. That's actually not a bad start. This is exactly what we're going to be building for what we want to cut out. We'll also be adding in or leaving in some of the arcs so that it finishes around to here so that we can engrave that on our material so that it looks like a complete ring kind of overlapping, going under and over like it does here. So that's pretty cool. So that wouldn't be a bad way. If this is all you needed, boom, done. The trace image. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to actually build this from scratch. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let's start by making a circle. I go to our circle tool, and while holding the shift key, I'll just make a circle. I'm going to make this 100 millimeters in size just to keep things even. And I want to create another circle that's exactly in the same spot. So I'm just going to right click this and say duplicate. And I'm going to change its size to 85 millimeters. Oops. Let's make sure that we're doing that resize from the middle. Let's make that 85. And I'm using 85. I've played around with this and I know that 85 gives me about the right thickness to match what the Olympic rings are doing. We can take a look at that if we were to grab these, bring it down here, and get it centered, at least close to centered. And then we can just start resizing that until it's about the same size. And we can see that gets us a circle or a pair of circles that's about the same. So we're going to use those dimensions. Let's undo all of this. Now that we have one circle, we're going to need several more. So I'm going to use the array function, and I'm going to do 3 wide, and they're too far apart, so let me change that spacing to 10, which ends up being approximately the right spacing to fit exactly what they've done here. So let's go ahead and click OK. And then I will grab, oops, don't need that. I want to grab 2, oops, no, yeah, that's gotten into a group. Let's ungroup those. Make sure to grab what I'm working on here. Grab 2 of these, and then what I want to do is duplicate them. So I'll right click, duplicate, And I'm going to move them down. So in the Y position, I'm going to move them down 50 millimeters. So I'm going to subtract 50 millimeters from their current position. So we see that moves it down. And then I want to move it over 50 millimeters, which isn't quite what we want to do. Because as you can see, they're still offset just a little bit. And that's because we need to get it in the middle here. So we had put a 10 millimeter gap. So let's add half of that. So let's add in another 5 millimeters. Now those rings are all lined up properly. And as you can see, we've got a good logo here. What we'll need to do is we'll need to work on making this look like they're intertwined or locked in place. So it's going over, under, and then over, and then under. We'll need to do that. We also want to leave, so we'll need to get rid of some stuff, but we'll also need to leave some lines in there. It'll all make sense as we're doing this. I'm not explaining it very well. What I want to do is stop grabbing that. I'm going to grab all of these. I'm going to move them up just a little bit so we stop grabbing the image. And maybe I'll just make the image smaller. How about that? There we go. Okay, all of these, what I'm going to do is take the whole thing and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to say duplicate, and I'm going to stick that on the red layer. So we have a good visual of what we're working on. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to do some trimming and cutting so that we keep, let's zoom in here, we keep these parts of the arc, but we get rid of this part of the arc. That makes sense. The red is going to be what I'm going to etch, and the black layer is going to be what I cut out. So what I want to cut out is all around this thing, and then on the inside here and these little biscuit shapes in here I want to cut out. What I want to keep then are my rings. And I'm going to etch little lines across here, or arcs, so that it looks like it's going over. So when we zoom in to this, what we're going to do is we essentially want to convert all of this stuff. So let me grab all of these. No, let's not grab all. Yeah, we know we want to grab everything. Yep. And we will do a convert. We'll convert all of those to paths. Once they're paths, then that'll allow us to use the node editor to start trimming this up. So what I can do is I can go into the node editor, I can select one of these, and I'm going to, hang on a second, I'm going to turn off the black layer to make sure that we don't accidentally make a change to that yet. So what we want to do is select that, and what we want to do is we want to get rid of a lot of this, but we want to keep this part right in here. So what we'll do is we'll just hover over here and we'll say trim. We'll come over here and say trim. It's not trimming up. Why? Because it doesn't like me. It's the opposite of what I want. Trim that. So I'm just doing trims on this to get rid of the part that we don't want. We're going to keep the part that we do want. So we have just these little arcs here we want to keep. We'll just come down to this one. We'll do the same thing. Just trim it up. Yeah, see, that's the problem sometimes with this, is it doesn't trim exactly the way that we want to. So I'm having trouble with this. It's not seeing this intersection. So when I say that I want to trim this, it's getting rid of too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this intersection. If we zoom in, we'll make sure our cursor turns into more of a bullseye versus just a pointer. When we get along here, it's not quite the bullseye, but when we get close to this intersection, it turns into more of a crosshatch. And I'm just going to insert a node there. So I just press the letter I. And I'll do the same thing here. Press the letter I. Now I can come and hover over this piece and say delete. So I've just pressed the letter D, so I got rid of that. All I really want then is this part of the arc and this part of the arc. The rest of this, don't need. So I'll just click that, click delete, click that, delete, 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 delete. We zoom out. Yep, we got most of that. Delete, delete. Okay, now this one's got this little piece up here that we don't want. So if I hover over that and hit trim, okay, that worked. We need to do the same thing here with this one. We'll just grab that, hover over it, hit and T for trim. And I got rid of the whole thing, so it's not recognizing an intersection. So I will insert a node, hover over this, hover over this part of it, and click delete. There we go. All right, now I can just get rid of that. Press D, get rid of that, press D. Okay, so that maybe looks kind of weird. Why are we doing that? If we turn the black layer back on, you'll see that what I've done is I've saved this part, and that's going to etch. So it's going to look like this arc goes over the other ring, and then it'll look like this ring is going over this one, which is exactly what it looks like down here. So it goes over, and then here it goes under. At least that's what it looks like. So that's what we're doing here. We're making it look like it's going under and over. Because what we also need to do then is we need to get rid of, although we do. We need to get rid of on the black layer. We need to get rid of these two little arcs chunks here and these two little arc chunks here, so that it's not cutting through all of the rings. So we'll come do that after we get all of the red layer set up the way we want it to be. So here it's over, under, then this one will be over. So let's get rid of the black one so we don't see it. Okay, so we've got those, so we just need to get rid of the rest of that, but let's finish. So that was under, this one's over, this one's going to be under. So what we want to do is keep these parts. Now I want these closer together. Yeah, let's move this up so it's a little closer. What I can do is I can make it smaller. I don't want it to interfere with the work I'm doing, but I want to still be able to kind of see it. And I want you to be able to see it too. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this one's over, so we keep those two. This one's under, so we keep the arcs here. And we just need these two for the moment so we know where to trim it to. So let's go ahead and see what this will do. If we hit T, I'm thinking it's going to take too much. No, it did exactly what we wanted. Nice. What if we come up here and trim that? Yeah, it's not figuring out what to do. So what we'll need to do is see if we can do the same for this one. See if we can trim this part away. And that took too much because it didn't stop here. So let's just zoom in. When we get over that spot, we'll add a node, and then we can delete what's over here. All right, I'm just going to go around and do this. You don't need to hear me yip-yapping about doing trimming and deleting, but essentially you've got the idea of what we're trying to do here. So let's, I'll just go ahead and do that, and I'll just stop talking. All right, now we're good. So we've got over, but that basically gets gets us our under and over. Then what we need to do is get that closed off. What we need to do with our black is we need to get rid of this area in here, this area, all around it. So we don't need to cut here. We don't need to cut here. So where they overlap, those we don't want to cut. So what we can do with those is we should be able to come in here and just trim those off. I'm just checking to make sure I've got all these intersections deleted. It's so easy to miss one. If I turn my red layer on, it should fill those in. And it did. Okay, so I have those all set correctly, it looks like. Basically, we don't need our initial image anymore because we've got everything set. So we could actually delete that, I suppose. We don't really need to have that. And then this whole thing, put down in the lower left-hand corner of our working area. Now let's do a preview. Okay, this looks really good except for right here. Looks like we missed something right here because it's supposed to go over that one, but it's supposed to go over under. So it looks like I have an extra line here. That looks much better. This is all cleaned up. Looks like it's going to take just over 30 minutes. Well, let's make sure we have our burn parameters set correctly for this. And we want this to burn first, so let's make sure that goes on top. I'll go to our library, and we want to look up plywood, because we're going to do craft plywood. On the black layer, we want to cut through, so we're going to take our 3mm cut through parameters and assign that to the black layer. And then on the red layer, this is going to be an etch. And it says etch fill, and so we'll have to make a slight change to that. So when we assign that, it'll do a fill, which we really don't want. We just want that to be lines. But we've got the parameters that we want to make a nice dark edge on that. Now let's see what our preview says. Okay, so it did speed that up a little bit. This will be 23 minutes to burn this whole thing. So what it'll do is where it's black, it'll cut out. Well, let's look at the preview. If we play this, you'll see that it started with all those inner etches, and then now it's doing multiple passes here to cut these sections out. That looks good. We can go ahead and take this over to the laser and see how that turns out. Well, those Olympic rings turned out pretty well. The detail of going under and over works pretty well. I like the way that turned out. Let's see if we can get that focused in. That really helps sell the illusion that these are intertwined and locked together. So not too difficult. A little bit of meticulous work to get the detail on there. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I really have enjoyed watching the Olympics over the last many decades. Things have changed over the years. Some sports get added, some sports get taken away. I don't like them all. There's some I like more than others. Things I'm willing to stay up late and watch if need be. Things have taken place at the IOC and in the Olympics that I don't agree with, and that's fine. If you do dig into the founding of the modern Olympics, look into what the charter is, what it's supposed to be all about, and if you feel like it, make your voice be heard. That's where we should be with the Olympics. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Think about subscribing to our channel if you like the content that we put together. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.
Oops.